morning feeling like P. Diddy.
You suck! Dun, 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 dun.
Everybody knows that the dice are loaded. Everybody rolls with their fingers crossed. Everybody knows the war is over. Everybody knows the good stay poor, the rich get rich. That's how it goes.
All right. Here we go again, my babies. Welcome to another exciting episode of So Be It. I'm your humble host here to titillate your audio holes one episode at a time. Now, as always, before we get started and getting down to the nitty-gritty business, the views and expressions on So Be It do not reflect those of YouTube, any YouTube channel, any YouTube internet radio station, any internet radio station for that matter, any traditional Gatorade drinking Chiba monkeys, and any and all music that you may or may not hear on this show is not owned by me, the show's humble host and creator, writer, producer, director. So once again, I do not own any of the music you may or may not hear on this show. No copyright infringement is intended whatsoever. So, babies, last time we spoke, which was Friday night, we touched on the subject, of how, adulting blows. And I guess for this one, you could say we're kind of going into another slight version of that. But it's something that all of you, at some point or another, depending on who you are, where you are, will deal with it in the workplace. Juliet. And recently, I've felt like I've been saying that a lot to myself lately. Not really to anybody in particular, but just to the situation at hand. When I was in the SRQ the last 3 years, from 2015 to, last year, spring of 2018, 2 of those years, the last 2, I worked at a middle school. We've talked about this, hence the end of an era military school part 2 episode. But working there, I came to realize just how much freaking drama there is in a school setting. And I'm not talking about the kiddos. That's an understood factor. Look, not trying to be derogative or negative in any way, shape, or form, but kids at that age, they're stupid. They get dramatic over everything, which, 9 times out of 10, they won't. But the really sad thing and alarming, at least to me, is how dramatic the adults can be. And of course, when you're a kid and you're going through the schools and everything, you're pretty oblivious to it. You don't really give a shit like what's going on with the adults, because you're more worried about if that girl in your 4th period class says wants a little sauce and sauce. So you don't really pay attention to the adults. And so anyway, when I discovered how much drama that can go on with the adults, I'm like, really? Like, okay. And stuff over, different things, but it got or nasty or anything, but like, okay, seriously, what the fuck? Like, it got to that point, and I'm like, wait a second, I thought we were supposed to be the adults here. Like, if we're acting like this, then who the hell's, it just blew my mind. And you never mind all the crazy crap that was going on there. I mentioned in one episode, probably about a week or 2 ago, the coach walking in a room where there were 2 teachers and one was massaging the other one's thighs. It's like, okay, yeah, cool. It puts the lotion on the skin. So, never mind the crazy ass shit that was going on, behind the scenes. But there was drama to go along with it. And that's the really funny thing is how much of it, you know, you pick up on and how much there really is. Okay. I know. There was one, and you know, I felt bad for this one teacher that I'm going to mention for all you newbies. So all you veterans, you're rolling your eyes, going, "Yeah, we've already heard this shit this before. Move on." But this teacher, you know, my first year, she had her own room. It was, you know, in the back. It was shared with another. But then my second year, they ended up transforming it into the, you know, guitar / Spanish room. So she was misplaced or displaced, rather. Sorry. And so the big question was, okay, what to do? And she couldn't get a room in the gym because apparently the athletics went no. So they put a bar on it, even though I don't know quite how they could do that. But hey, you know, when you're tight with the head with the hoss, you know, I guess it helps. So anyway, gym was closed off, nada. And if my recollection serves me right, there was not another classroom that was quote unquote open at the time because, you know, the quote unquote computer lab, you know, that wasn't going to happen, you know, close quarters. And if you're teaching drama stuff and you're trying to, you know, do, you know, scenes and, you know, musical numbers and whatnot, you know, with a bunch of computers in your way, doesn't really mix. So basically, there was literally nowhere. So, with the powers that be and the infinite wisdom that they bestowed upon everybody, she was put in the cafeteria. Now, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I felt bad about that. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? This is the best we can do. Come on. Got to be something. But, you know, it goes back to what I've harped on in recent episodes when you have a lazy ass admin who, you know, just really doesn't give a shit. Things like this are going to happen. And, you know, the argument could be made, well, we just didn't have the space. There was nothing we could do. I mean, seriously. So, you know, it got arranged to where, you know, some of the lunch tables were moved to accommodate and, you know, yada, 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 which, you know, I give this teacher credit because she made sure that the tables were actually put back. So, you know, she moved them herself with her class and they put them back when it was time for lunches, which because her class literally backs up to a lunch period. But she made it work. And I mean, honestly, I don't think it could have gone any more swimmingly if she had tried any harder. Which, I mean, she made it work. And hey, kudos. I give her all the kudos in the world because she took a very unpleasant situation, was like, all right, you know what? We're stuck. We have to deal with this. So screw it. And she didn't grab the bull by the horn. She grabbed it by the balls and, you know, made it happen. So, you know, I give her credit for that. My hat's off to her for that, for sure. And, you know, at first I'm not going to lie, myself, I was skeptical. Anybody in here right now? And we're doing the lunch prep. They're going to have a class out there. And, you know, I wasn't really too thrilled about it at first. I'm not going to lie. Because, you know, the cashiers that would come over from the elementary school to help us, we would laugh and cut up all the time. And, you know, we would get loud occasionally, but we couldn't really do that anymore with the class out there. You know, I mean, there were some days that, you know, we could because it was rather chaotic in there. But hey, you know, we did the best with what we could, you know, so we just adapted, we adjusted, and, you know, it ended up working out. So looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, that was really no big deal. But, you know, as the year went on, up until my departure, it was funny to me. I mean, it wasn't really funny then because I just rolled my eyes like, are you shitting me? Come on. But now looking back, I'm like, wow, that's just so damn stupid. It's comical that, you know, teachers were still making a big deal about it. And they were like, oh, I heard whispers from various people like, oh, she has no control over her classroom. Why are they in the cafeteria? Oh, they're going to destroy stuff. To just on and on and on and on, stuff like that. And, I'm like, okay, well, that's really not your concern because you're not in the cafeteria. You have your own classroom. So you can't, there's really no reason to complain. So it's not your responsibility. You're not in charge of that area. They're not coming into your classroom, destroying things and causing a disruption. So, not really your concern, and you really shouldn't be thinking about it anyway. And then, B, if you can hear them all the way across the quad, well, if you have your door propped open, ding dong, hello, shut it. And if you have the windows open, shut it. Like, okay, it's not that hard. Like just little things like that. It's like if you could really hear them, well, okay, make it to where you can hear them. And I'm sure that's the closest to the cafeteria. One science teacher that I'm thinking of, to be precise, will roll her eyes and just spurt off some negative psychobabble. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, well, you're angry all the time anyway, so don't get why you're here if you hate it so much. So, that's pretty much on you. So whatever. But I mean, it didn't happen all at the same time in one particular moment. It was spread out during the year. And God only knows how much more was spurted after I left, in the 2 months since I left. So I don't know. And right now, I really don't know what the situation is for her class, if they got her a room or if she was in the same situation as before. Because, I mean, if it were me personally, if she was in that same situation as last year, I would probably, I'd probably raise a little hell and be like, this is stupid. Find me someone I can share with. So, because, I mean, it's asinine to be out there in the open like that. And I mean, you have a decent space to work with, but I mean, if it's not your performing space, then as a former performing arts kid from a long time ago, it's another life. I don't really dabble in it anymore, but disadvantage because you can't get comfortable with the space. You can't, adjust to how much you need to project or how much bigger you need to make your movements and just all this other stuff. Obviously things that the other teachers don't understand because they've probably never done it. But just drama like things. There was some stuff with the morning math tutoring that happened on, if my memory isn't too rusty from my routine down there, was Tuesdays and Thursdays, or no, it was Wednesdays and Thursdays. Somebody not always being there and things about duties, like morning duties, afternoon duty, lunch duty, whatever the crap it was. Just, it was nuts. And lunch duty, that was another one. Obviously there were 2 lunch periods, and that was more than enough to accommodate the amount of students that we had. At least it was when I was there. Again, I don't know the situation now, but I know for a fact that there were teachers scheduled for lunch duty who just never ever showed up at all. And I know for a fact that some of them did not have any other duty at all during the day, but they just decided, shrugged their shoulders like, yeah, whatever, screw it. I'm not going. And they got away with it because, well, that Montessori way of thinking again. Nothing ever happened to them. But it's like, okay, you're supposed to be a full-fledged adult here. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Literally, you're going to make a big stink over that. Be like, yeah, I'm not going to go. Screw it. And I mean, I could see to some people, why that would be watching them when I have a classroom with them. I can understand that mentality, but I mean, if at the same time, it's no room to complain whatsoever. You don't have any right to say anything. So just shut up. So, looking here, kind of just contemplating like what my next move was going to be. And for, I don't know, about a day, maybe a little more, maybe like a day and a half, I debated about whether or not to get back into, the education field at all. I'm like, I don't know. Especially after, what the events that took place in the military school episode. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it before all that ugliness went down. So I'm like, you know what? Why not? I'm going to do it. And, I was like, all right, I really hope that there's not that much drama with where I go next, compared to what I had at the last place. And because I thought back to the school that my mom worked at. She worked at an elementary school for, oh God, frequently in my high school career. And then, after that, I'd visit up there quite often when she was working there. Sometimes I'd go up there to help her move boxes and stuff. And then other days I would just go and surprise her. So, but there was some drama stuff going on there too, and all this other shit. They were older than the teachers that I'd worked with in SRQ. I mean, when I was visiting a lot, obviously I didn't know, the teachers at SRQ, duh. But after I got back, I compared the two. I'm like, oh my God. Like, wow, okay. Just seeing the comparisons, like, all right, you got teachers over here in this left column. They're younger. They're like maybe their age range is in the 20s to, oh God, I don't know, maybe if I had to take a guess, 50s, with the exception of like one, that's about the age. And then you have the school that my mom worked at over here in the right column. And all the teachers, with the exception of, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 right now, their age ranges are like mid upper 30s up into like their 60s. And there's almost as much drama between the two. Like, what? Come on. And unfortunately, to a certain degree, it would appear that the place that I'm at now, it's the same. There was one where, me and some of the others park out back where we have, it's not really secret, but our own little entrance and exit for our sped kids. And which is really nice because, the kids don't have to walk through the entire school, and because, kids are mean, and it would just, because when they're walking with us during transitions, it's different because they have 3 guardian angels walking with them. The main teacher, then there's me and the other parapro. So there's 3 of us. And I always have my ears perked up because I've gotten rather protective over, our little flock that we have, making fun of one of our sped kids. Yeah, it'll be ugly. That's for sure, man. I'm pretty sure I'll be reprimanded for it, but hey, little jerk shouldn't have spoken out of turn. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, they have their own little guardian angel, so nothing's really said to them. So they have their own little door. But me and the others, we park out back because it's just easier to get to, and our rooms are right there. So it's like, why the hell not? And as far as I understand it, the teachers have been doing it long before I showed up back in September. So then all of a sudden, some of the lunchroom people started parking back there, more of them. And, not going to lie, it does cramp space worse than it was before. I'm back there, and it's easier for them to get in and out, especially when their day is over and it ends early, like at least 2 hours, if not 3 hours earlier than ours. So, I mean, yeah, it gets annoying, but because especially when the space goes out and I had to park, in the grass or the mud or whatever, the dirt that's right by there. But I mean, whatever. I've actually started parking further down when that's the case because I don't want my car. If any of you have, or those of you who have seen my car and know what I've been driving for the last year, you can understand why I don't want to park in the grass or the mud with that thing. Just no. So anyway, but some of the others, they make a little bit of a bigger deal about it than I do. Me, I'm just shrugging my shoulders like, ugh, all right. Let me just get through this day so I get out of here. But there was, a big deal about it and mentioned like, look at this and the spacing. And I'm like, I know. But I mean, what are you going to do about it? I mean, it's their right too. They can park back there. Yeah. Does it limit space? And when there's a bus that's already parked back there on the side for God only knows why, does that kind of mess things up? Yeah. Limits the curb space, sure. But I mean, it's their right too. So I mean, technically our hands are tied, and nothing could be said to the big dog at the school because chances are A, nothing's going to be done about it anyway, and B, if something were to go down, then there's a good chance that the alpha and I don't know. I don't want it to be ruined because I'm that weird kind of not friendly person, and I'm not a morning person. Let's just get that out there. By any means, I'm not a morning person at all. Like as soon as my eyes open, I shut the alarm off and I sit up. If somebody tries talking to me or starts asking me a million questions right off the bat, I immediately get pissed. I'm like, I'm not even awake yet, you doink. What is wrong with you? I mean, there's a few exceptions. If my parents were to wake me up and say, hey, this is going on, I mean, I'm going to want to know about it. And I'll be like, all right, sure, fine. Or, if somebody who, resembled Jennifer Lawrence or Jamie Lee Sigler from The Sopranos, and they were looking at me all seductive and whatnot and saying, so, you ready for your morning exercises? Yeah, I wouldn't bat an eyelash to that. Hell no. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so there's exceptions, but for the most part, I'm not a morning person. And for my first week or two that I was there, or correction, 3 weeks, I parked in the very front and would walk through the school. Now it usually takes me a little bit to get fully awake. I'm awake enough to where I can I get ready and I can drive myself, but I'm still not mentally fully awake. And those are scratching, what's the difference? There's a big ass difference. I mean, if you don't know it by now, I mean, there's really nothing I can do for you, but I mean, you're awake, you can get up, you're moving, you're mobile, you get yourself ready, showered, brush teeth, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But mentally, you don't even know what planet you're on. And that's pretty much me all the time in the morning. So again, I'm not a morning person. And for the first 3 weeks, I would park in the front, and that would mean coming through the front doors, buzzing my badge at the door, and walking in. And just about everybody I would run into, they'd be all smiling. Oh, hi, good morning. That's not me. I mean, I'm sure people find it rude when they're all that, oh, hi, good morning. I'm just like, hey, or what's going on? That's it. I'm not in the mood to talk or be super, super cheery. And I mean, it's not that I'm an asshole or anything, or I'm not fully mentally functioning first thing in the morning. I'm not. And so walking through the school and every single person I'm seeing going, oh, good morning, hi, good morning. I'm like, oh my God, enough. It bugs me. It's one of those weird quirks I have. It bothers me. And I mean, I would much rather have somebody walk on me and go, sit, be like, what's going on? You know, it works better for me rather than, hi, good morning. Again, I'm not trying to be a prick. It's how I'm programmed. I don't like it. I mean, for me, I don't like saying it or doing any of that. I mean, when it's done to me, I'm like, hey, cool. You know, they're being friendly, you know, saying hi, you know, no big deal. I don't mind that. I don't like saying it. I'm not one to go, hi, good morning. I don't know. It's weird. So I don't want that ruined for me because doing it the way now, parking in the back, I don't have to really worry about it all that much, which is nice. I like it. So I'm like, don't ruin it for me. Come on. Take the drama down, Juliet. Ugh. And there was a little dispute with the lunch people and us recently anyway. I think it was over like field trip stuff. So I don't really know all the details about that. The only thing that I like know for sure was that there wasn't anything like really ordered or nothing was, you know, set ahead of time or anything like that. And so, you know, kitchen manager, she got pissed. And, you know, the last time was a week ago today when we had that dance, and which, you know, I look back on, I'm like, that's a good thing. I would have enjoyed myself more, but that's not the case. But the same thing happened. Nothing was really done or said ahead of time, apparently. And, you know, I mean, I'm not one for sack lunches because, you know, going through school field trips and stuff, I heard sack lunch and went, oh, damn. No. School sack lunches are not a kid's best friend. I liken them to hospital food. It's like, for the love of God, no, that shit'll kill you. Run away. Far, far away. You know, unless it's like one of those Welch's PBJ things, the Uncrustables. If it's something like that, well, I mean, you can survive that. But just no. And so there was something about that. I'm like, oh my God. Come on. That's like, really, is all this necessary? But, you know, I keep my mouth shut because I'm the new guy. I'm the newbie, even though, you know, I'm not entirely brand new to the, you know, the school environment, but still I'm new there. But I just sit back and I watch the fireworks. And if my opinion is asked, I give it. But other than that, I don't really jump in head first. Well, what I think we should do, or at least I try not to. There was one time I got a little heated, and you know, I just, you know, let it go, and I jumped in and I said something, but then I look back on it, I'm like, I didn't really add anything to the conversation. I didn't take anything away, but I didn't really add anything either. So, you know, so be it. But it's like, come on. It's like, can we pick something here that's not so trivial? Like, you're complaining over like sack lunches and just, you know, it seems like it's picking fights almost. And, you know, I'm not talking down about anybody or anything like that because I'm like, well, I'm sure they're thinking of it in a different way than I am, which, you know, obviously is going to happen. So that's really why I don't really say much when the things go down. I just sit back and I'm like, it's either, well, this is kind of lame, or I go, well, damn, I should have popped a bag of popcorn for this. You know, stuff like that. And so on and so forth. But there was something else, another little side show that's been going on. A little showdown with a music teacher there. That's it's maybe kind of raised my eyebrows a few times and just like, oh my God, come on. And, you know, personally, I haven't done anything to me, but, you know, I think the whole thing is just absolutely, you're all older than me. Why can't we just, you know, act like freaking adults here for once? Okay. Come on, please. So anyway, I don't know. I'm going to go on a quick commercial break. I'll be right back, guys. Give me just 1 second. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, gang. Had something I needed to take care of. So anyway, back to what I was saying before. You know, the music teacher, like and I, you know, he's okay. There was one instance where, you know, we were in the class and, you know, the kid was going through this weird phase. It was like about 2 or 3 weeks. He was bringing in this plastic toy ukulele. And for any of you who have never, you know, messed with one of those, you know, it is quite literally a kid's toy that when you try to pluck it like a real one, it just ding, 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 ding. No, you can't make real music with it. It's just something for the kids, you know, to, you know, play along with. If they hear their favorite song that happens to have one, you know, they can play along with it or act like they're singing, you know, make themselves look like I don't know, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, somebody like that. I don't know. So anyway, he started bringing this one. He had this pair of sunglasses with him. It was like the Wayfarers that the Blues Brothers used to wear, but they were orange. And he would wear those, and he looked like a little rock star. I'm like, oh my God, look at him. And this kid, I kid you not, he would rock out. He'd be sitting there, ding, 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 and, you know, with his speech, you know, not being so good. I mean, I can communicate with him okay, but there's a lot of things that I don't understand what he says. And, you know, being in speech therapy, it's helping him. He's made a lot of progress since then, because this story is taking place back in, you could kind of make out the words, but, you know, you really couldn't understand him fully. And he got into this like musical number stuff. And it was from that movie, Hugh Jackman's movie, The Greatest Showman. He absolutely was obsessed with those tunes for just about a month. It was pretty damn close. But there was a class and he was just super into it and had his little toy ukulele. I'm like, oh, this ain't gonna go well. But I'm like, well, music class, maybe this won't be too bad. Well, apparently he got a little bit louder than anticipated. And I'm back there doing the best that I can to try and keep him quiet. I'm like, dude, for the love, but he still doesn't understand. He didn't then, and he kind of still doesn't now. Doesn't really fully understand, lower your volume, inside voice. Don't, full out, ain't gonna go beat up, baby. Nothing like that. So it was difficult to try and wrangle it, but there was one class, I guess it got just overly annoying, and the teacher stopped what he was doing, looked at me, and was like, I'm gonna have to have him stop all that because what he's doing is bleeding over into what we're doing over here, and it's messing everybody up. Now, my initial reaction, sitting there, I'm like, oh shit, did that really just happen? And I looked at the other para who was with me. She looked at me, and we had the same understanding of, oh hell no. Because, call me old school, call me old fashioned, but you just don't do it in front of God, everybody, and their mother if you've got an issue with somebody. Like, you only do that if you want to be an absolute complete prick. And I mean, yeah, you can blame it on, you're having a bad day, nothing's really been going right for you, and so on and so forth. But that's really no excuse, though, at all. The genuine thing to do is if you really have a gripe with somebody, you're like, hey, do you mind if I see you for a second? Can I talk to you privately for a second? And, pull them in the office if you have one. If you don't, then like a closet or something, or maybe not a closet, but step outside of the classroom regardless. And just be like, hey, look, I get that he's a little different and he's, doing his own thing. But if you could try to maybe just get him to tune it down, because, we're trying to do stuff and it's starting to kind of overlap with what we're doing, and it might start messing kids up especially if they can't hear my instruction. So would you mind just getting him to, I would have been all for it. I'd be like, oh yeah, I can do that. No problem. But, didn't happen that way. And so I'm like, okay, that's how it's going to be played. So I got the kid to shut the computer down, and I just went ahead and moved him on to the next one, to the art room. Sorry, guys, got to wet my whistle. Haven't drunk enough water today, and it's catching up to me. So moved him to the art room. And what I decided to do for the next week is, coincidentally enough, if you step out of the music room where we were, to your right side, about maybe 10, 15 feet diagonally, there's a door that leads into a computer lab. And, 9 times out of 10, it was abandoned while we were there. So I said, you know what? To hell with it. This is what we're going to do. And I took him in there for a week. And by some miracle, at the end of that week, he got out of his little singing ukulele phase. I'm like, whew, okay, let's try this again. And what really got me, not flustered, but just, it got me smiling and made me laugh to myself, was this guy thought I was super pissed at him. You haven't been back since? He goes, I thought you were super pissed at me. Didn't mean to give him a country accent. I don't know where the hell that came from. But I said, no. And I was like, no, not really. And with a stony of a face I could muster, I looked at him. I said, if I was pissed off at you, trust me, you would know it and you'd be afraid of me right now. And I said, but lucky for you, you haven't seen it. And B, hardly anybody else has seen it. I said, there's been one person within the last year who has seen it. And it was the person I mentioned to y'all in the military episode, part 2. The maintenance lady who said I looked the most dangerous and murderous she'd ever seen me. That was that. So I said, trust me, you'll know if I'm pissed at you. And he goes, oh, really? And I said, yeah, really. I said, you will go to extreme lengths to avoid me. I go, that's when you know I'm pissed at you. Then he just looked at me like, oh shit. So, I had my little moment there of clarity with him. So that was my thing. And so far, the rest of last semester, none of that ever happened again. But, I had a better grasp on the kid at that point. And so, it really wasn't needed or necessary. And, so, stuff like that. And apparently there's something going down with him and my counterparts. And that's definitely an arena I've stayed out of. And if any questions were to come up about it, I'd be like, no, I'm not having this. Absolutely not. Count me out. Sorry, no comment. And if it were to proceed, on, the music teacher's part, I say, do you remember that conversation we had after you, verbally outed me and the kid, and you said you thought I was pissed at you, and I told you, no, you would know it. And if he goes, yeah, be like, well, keep pushing this button, you'll see it. But luckily, that has not happened, and hopefully it won't. But it kind of depressed me in a way, because I'm like, mother of God, come on. I haven't even finished my first year here. And there's just as much drama, if not more, than there was before. And it gets me thinking, like, okay, I know there's going to be some in, like, whatever school you go to, but for Christ's sake, come on. They're full-fledged adults here. Start freaking acting like it. I'm not getting to the point to where I want to, drop kick any of them in the teeth. But I'm like, get a damn clue. Come on. But I mean, in the regards and in the instance of, the other para that I work with and her granddaughter, I can understand why she'd get super pissed at that, because from what I understand, it's freaking insane. So I can understand her position on that for sure. So, but, whatever.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody! Oh, hell yeah!
All right. You guys know what that sound means. It's been a while since I've done this, but that means that it's time for the weird news. And I've got 2 articles that, they certainly qualify as weird. A lot of you are probably going to think they're incredibly stupid. And, you would be right. But to me, I think they're funny. But anyway, first one. These stories actually are going to be taking us overseas. And the headline for the first one reads, Police break into art gallery after mistaking dummy for a corpse. And this was, reported this morning, actually. It's from Britain, and it says security cameras at a London art gallery recorded police breaking through a glass door to investigate a quote-unquote person in distress that turned out to be a dummy. London police spokesman confirmed officers and paramedics responded to a witness report of a suspected corpse just inside the glass doors at the Factory Art Gallery in Dalston. Security camera footage, shows him reaching the supposed person and discovering it was basically a mannequin. Some of the direct quotes from it. Officers and LAS attended the scene. Officers were required to force entry inside, what the spokesman said. The London Evening Standard. Upon inspection, the person turned out to be a figurine constructed from clothing and wires and was part of an art installation. Collier Den Bangura, 36, said the dummy was part of his solo exhibition about the experiences of refugees in Britain. And a direct quote from him, he says, "I've used the same dummy before at other shows, but this is the first time it's caused police to be called. When I came to the studio and saw the smashed glass, I immediately thought it had been vandalized, but the police left a note behind explaining what happened." This is what the note reads. It says, "Police forced entry by smashing the window due to getting calls from members of the public regarding a dead body inside the building. If you have any issues, please write to the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police." And he goes on to say that there were posters on each door showing it was an art exhibition. "I just wish they had looked at them and contacted the building's owner before smashing through the door." Oof. And apparently police in Wenesfield, England, kind of found themselves in a similar situation last week when they responded to a report of a bloody hand floating in a canal. They discovered the item was actually a plastic hand painted to appear bloody. So, yeah, a couple mishaps there for the good old boys in blue overseas. Now, a lot of you are going to think, why the hell are you mentioning this one? But to me, this one just made me laugh. Because if I saw it happen, in Atlanta's airport or anywhere, I'd bust out laughing. This was reported about 3 days ago on the 15th, and it says the headline reads, "Girl 5 goes through train station X-ray machine." This is in China now, so we're going on the opposite direction. Security cameras at a Chinese train station were recording when a young girl gave her father the slip and crawled through the X-ray machine. The CCTV video, filmed Tuesday at a train station in Jinan City, Shandong Province, I know I'm probably butchering the name, but I really don't care, shows the 5-year-old girl nimbly climbing into the conveyor belt and riding through the X-ray machine. The girl comes out of the other side of the machine 3 seconds later and hops back down to the ground. The child's father said she gave him the slip while he was having his ticket checked by security. And funny enough, there's actually a picture of the girl as she's going through the machine, and it actually looks like she's waving at you. So I'm like, all right, little cheekiness there. I like that. So anyway, that's gonna do it for me tonight, babies. So anyway, call, or you can't call, because if you call the number I give out, you'll be calling a station in Valdosta. So don't forget to write in, guys. I know some of you probably won't take advantage of it, but hey, it's there when you need it. So just write in at Cyrus So Be It, SIRUS SUBEIT @gmail.com. A response is guaranteed. It'll be anonymous. You will not be identified whatsoever. So tell your friends, tell your neighbors, hell, tell your relatives and your creditors. What the hell? I'm being generous. So anyway, until Wednesday night. Until Wednesday. Good night, friends.
Cease to resist.